All right, we'll call this third meeting of Tuesday, February 6, 2024, agenda prep session together. As we're going through here, just as we talk about agenda, what was everybody's thought on the moment of silence last? If anybody wants to say anything, I felt like it was.
It's good.
Good
job.
One thing I would like to ask, even though we do have a new finance director, and for the last two council meetings, we have voted to accept the financials as they were presented in writing. Is that something you would like to continue, or now that you have a finance director, would you like them to present as they were done in the past? That's the will of the council, and there's no legal, we don't have to legally have those read at the council meeting. We can continue this way, but I wanted to ask your opinions.
I would like to have them read.
You would like to have them read?
I think it's good to have them here, not
I like
only
the public
for us,
report.
but I like the
Okay.
public to be able to hear it.
Okay.
And I certainly understand there's somewhat of a learning process or maybe a building comfort process in speaking to the full council, and I recognize that. But in short order, I think we would appreciate that.
Okay. All right. No problem. I am very confident, Ms. Rogers. We have made an excellent hire. I will guarantee that. So, all right, we'll have the State of City address coming up this time, and then also public. Kenneth, you got 60 seconds. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Got our public works report. Yeah.
Well, y'all been driving by Knoxville. You can see all the sidewalks are poured. They still got a lot of dirt work and that type of stuff, grass. So weather has slowed us down, but as you can see, it's very close. We got some sidewalk maintenance going at South Boston Avenue, East 2nd Street, East 3rd Street, and North Greenwich Avenue. That's all I have, Mayor.
I do want to say thank you to your teams for doing a great job during our inclement weather, and also getting out there as quick as possible on our potholes. Those things just grew overnight. It was crazy. So,
Sure did.
And I know there's still some there, but you guys did an amazing job getting out there. So,
Okay, thank y'all. Any questions? Thank y'all.
all right. And then we'll have the airport. Mr. Karp will be here. Okay, so moving on to, this will be in the finance moving forward, or, yes? I was there last month. Okay, so it was in this. Okay, so item 1 will be a consideration ordinance amending ordinance 2437, which is established an ambulance fee schedule for the city of Russellville, Arkansas, to provide a discount for self-pay patients. That'll be that. So we move on to unfinished old business. We will have a consideration of an ordinance rezoning certain realty in the city of Russellville, Arkansas, and other purposes. This is located at 725 South Macon. This will be the third and final reading for this one. Item 2 is consideration of an ordinance to rezoning certain realty in the city of Russellville, Arkansas, for other purposes. This is located along South Macon Avenue and Highway 331. This will be the second of 3 readings on that item. Moving on to new business on the back page there. Item 1 is consideration of an ordinance rezoning certain realty in the city of Russellville, Arkansas, for other purposes. This is located at 1405 East Old Highway 124 and 1479 Sparkford Drive. This is submitted by SSB Investments and Alter Trading Group. This was unanimously recommended by the Planning Commission, and this has a request on it that it be read one time only, requesting the emergency clause to be enacted. Ms. John Dahl, are we going to have any evidence to back up and support? Okay, you already have. Okay, she does. Okay, just making sure. Okay, so you have it's provided in your packet there.
Is that the RV park or?
No, it is the old Cornerstone construction office with the old TRG recycling. It goes from Sparksford to Highway 124. So, sorry. She's getting her steps in. So I know that because I helped deliver that sign. I helped deliver signs when it was inclement weather. So it was, so I put those signs out there. So item 2 is consideration of resolution expressing the city's invitation to all casino operators to explore the possibility of locating their casino operations within the city limits of the city or on city-owned property and for other purposes. This is sponsored by Councilman Olson. So that'll be on new business. Do we have any discussion on that?
Do we have a copy of that?
Do what, sir?
Do we have a copy of that?
Do we have a copy of that
Yes.
resolution? Yeah, it should be in the packet, so.
So, it's, hate to say it, so I'm gonna probably be, anyways. Last time we went through this, it was as if we stuck our head in the sand and act like like a casino's not coming. It's inevitable. The other day, I'd heard rumblings that there was one of the groups was looking at land that was not in the city of Russellville as one of our neighbor towns. And then we would miss out on all of the revenue, which I believe is projected around $4 million a year in tax revenue and more, says the mayor. So at all cost, I'm just trying to make it to where every entity that is wanting to potentially try, I don't know none of us know what's going to happen in the future. I have no idea. But they need to know that we're open for business. It's going to happen. We know it's going to happen. Amendment says it's going to happen. The Constitution says it's going to happen. It's happening. So if that's the case, build that thing here in Russellville so we can get the revenue off it. And that's all it says. It's pretty simple. It says, look, if you're looking at building a casino in this place, come talk to us. We'd love to, whatever, help. Oh, just like economic development of any kind. So this is not the previous council and mayor. This is the current one. It's been 5 years later. Let's move forward and work together.
So this is not something that has any bearing on making a decision about a casino, because that's not in our purview whatsoever.
No,
Yeah.
there's no decision.
This is just saying, regardless of who the casino operator will be, don't worry about contacting the city of Russellville for permits and, things, and you can do business here.
That's right, because,
Yeah.
at this point, they're on a land search to find the right
Yeah.
land, and, it's got to be within 2 miles, and but we want it to be, instead of in Dover or in Pottsville or Atkins or whatever, we need it to be in the city of Russellville, so.
Yeah, we're here, and we're the best suited for it. So,
Exactly. Infrastructure, because then you're left with all the problems that come from it instead of without the revenue, So, anyways, that's the whole idea behind it. I'll take any questions anybody's got any.
Any more discussion from anyone? Mr. Keller?
I think this has already been answered, but I just want to go ahead and ask again. So this is not saying we want to have a part in the decision-making process of who is going to be
no.
the operator. It's saying that whoever the operator is, Russellville is an open and willing partner, and there's been a sea change in the way that Russellville City Council may have approached this topic from the past.
Absolutely 1,000% correct.
I have an easy question. In this resolution, on section 2, the last sentence, it talks about inviting all casino operators intending to apply, ... It says they are invited to discuss options on locating their casino operations within the city limits of the city and upon the site owned by the city. So is that going to be a requirement for us to express our interest or our good feeling towards them, that they be required to build on city-owned property? Do I understand that correctly?
No, not required. It's just saying like that, we have some city-owned property. If that's something that interests you, we'd like to talk about it.
Should "and" be changed to "or" then maybe?
Absolutely. If the "and" needs to be an "or," so be it.
I mean, I don't know if that would fix it, but it looks like it would.
What is your,
Well, I just don't want to cause a hiccup for anybody out there who has a casino to say, well, good grief, I don't want to buy the land from the city, I've already got land.
Oh, that's fair. That,
You know.
I was just, the whole purpose is, look, we're open. If we've got land and it's big enough for you to use, let's talk. If there's land close, let's talk. If there's, we're not saying no. Our heads aren't in the sand. We're here.
I just don't want, there's always unintended consequences. Like, I 100% want to signal to the entity that acquires the license from the Racing Commission to operate a casino within Pope County that the city of Russellville wants to be a good partner with that entity. What I don't want to do with something like this is to get into going and vetting operators. I don't want to do
I don't think
that.
it says that.
No.
No, but I don't want,
The optics as well, or
Like-
that there's any negative to the county, this is the county's decision.
Okay,
We
so
want to
here's-
support the
here-
county
this
in
is
their
what-
decision, but we
this is
also want
what,
them to know, hey,
this is what
come here.
this is what worries me. Okay, so right now, let's say there's operator A who is looking at property that is adjacent to the city, but is not within city limits. Operator A needs a letter from the county judge. Doesn't involve the city at all. They can then voluntarily annex if they choose into the city, and then we become a partner and everything that goes with that. If a casino operator is looking for land in Russellville proper, then it becomes the city writing a letter to them. What I would hate to do is somewhat muddy the waters in this already muddy process and start having Hard Rock or casino operator Joe, anyone, come in and say, okay, well, I'm going to buy this land in Russellville, so now let's start talking about letters from the city. Let's start talking about that and circumventing what has already been vetted and processed and whatnot by other entities, within our area.
There is no applicant without a letter from the county judge or the quorum court. So
Do they have to have,
Yeah, they have,
even
yes.
if it's
There-
within
yes,
city limits?
there is no
Oh, great.
There is no
Great.
applicant
Okay.
without, like I say.
All this thing,
Fantastic.
I think Mr.
I
Olson's-
didn't want to inadvertently
No, there is no applicant without.
pull
it.
the pin on a
No.
grenade for us.
No.
I
it-
think
there-
Mr. Olson is just saying, open for business.
Done.
And if
Okay.
you've
Yes.
got any substantive changes, I bet Mr. Olson would entertain them to soften it up and make it where it's just open for business.
Here's an easy thought. That word "and upon," or the words "and upon the," strike that and say including property owned by the city. That covers everything owned by the city, but they're not obligated, or they don't even feel the obligation to purchase their property from us. We're not trying to hamstring.
Love it.
Would that work?
No, that's great. Trade, you got that?
Yes, yes, sir. All right.
I mean, didn't we do one a couple of years ago that was just Russellville is going to be an open partner with whoever is going to be? Didn't we do one at the end
I
of?
don't remember exactly what it was, but there was something.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time when we, I mean, I've slept a couple times since then.
All right.
But I feel like we've already done a resolution and it was very short and sweet, like, we're here, open for business, want to work with them.
All right, well, we'll, you what, sir? Okay, moving on. Okay, so with your permission, I would like to move item 3 to the very end because I don't think everyone is going to necessarily stay for that, so.
Well, I
what-
do want to, can I just
Yes,
explain
yes,
what's
yes.
happened, and then people can say that as they choose. I've been to Russellville High School twice. I've sent this to the Valley Christian School. We put it on social media, so We got 31 applicants, and there's a lot of excitement, and I'm super stoked about it. The kids were really excited, the ones that I spoke to. So what we'll do is at the end of the meeting, after the meeting's over, anybody wants to stay, you've got a 167-page document, but it's from a Google form, so it's really not that much reading, but there's quite a bit to read. Anybody want to stay, and we will determine the number we're going to do, and get this thing off the ground next month. We'll have our council in place, youth council in place. I'd love to have it in place by the end of the week, and go from there. So if you want to stay after, awesome. If you need to go, that's okay too.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So we're going to move on. One thing that I do, the discussion with waste management is not going to happen today, but I do want to make everyone aware that our contract is up January 2025. Our contract is, Trey and I looked that up, and so we are correct that our contract is up 2025 of January. So we need to move and get, we need to start working and go out to bid. Whether, no matter what you decide, and you are deciding the body, it's your will how you do that, but we need to move sooner than later, because if you do go out to bid and you do choose another carrier or provider, if you so choose that way, they're going to need about a 9-month process to do that. So, Mr. Westcott.
Would
it's
you,
floor door.
and thank you for bringing that to our attention, and I do ask that you would cause to be on next week's agenda, the whatever one it needs to be, the resolution to fund that,
Okay.
because you're going to have an expense associated with that, are you
It's
not?
funding with,
Going out for bid, there's
Going
an
out for bid.
expense to that.
is,
So-
what, is there a expense? Yeah, there'll be an expense to run that, though, so
So
I'll,
whatever you need, if you
Okay.
needed something on the agenda, we'll tackle
we'll do that,
next week.
okay.
Okay, what happened? Because last time we were very clear in our questioning, and then we were told, because I thought we were all under the assumption it ended in January 25, and then we were told it was not. It was gonna be
Well, we
December.
did, I thought that, then we were told different, but we are 100% sure that it does end in January 2025. So we need to move forward on going out to bid, whether
Okay.
you choose, no matter direction you go.
Once again, I want to say, I think we need to have I don't know, some sort of ad hoc committee, and get together and talk about the things that we want to do as a group moving forward. I mean, I don't know if we need to have a working session, if that's what we need to label it as, or if we need to form some sort of ad hoc, municipal waste committee.
Yeah, like yesterday, like
Yeah.
last month,
Yeah.
when we discussed this.
Yeah. So,
What kind of time
Should-
frame on the?
We probably,
On bid.
I would like to see going out to bid no later than April. Honestly, I'd like to see, have us, you're going to have to, you've got council meeting next week, and then so you need to try to figure out some stuff. It's going to take you a
No, if
minute.
we're gonna-
It's
if-
going to
if
take.
it's going to take them 9 months, we need to have someone
well,
selected by April. If we're not.
You're going to be, it's going to be tough for
Yes.
you to get, I mean, if you want to go ahead and put that committee together, or if you want me to have Debbie call a work session so that we can get that done, because I think you need to put a little bit more teeth in your contract this time than what we
Yes.
have now.
That's-
So that's where we
yes.
need to be.
Can I
So-
ask,
Go-
Mr. Olson?
No, Mr. Olson, I've talked a lot.
no, two things I would like to see. I'd like to see the old RFP marked up with some suggested language in it, and then also the same thing, the contract gone through and, some highlighted spots that we think we could add teeth, or there's stuff that we need to tighten up.
Okay, yeah, I think that's, so what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and have Debbie get with you guys and get a work session. And then that way we can start moving forward. And if you can get this before yourselves in March, that's great.
This
I-
month,
this month.
I'm willing to meet this month
Okay.
to start talking about this.
So, and if we can, Mr. Smith, how long does that have to, the bid process, do you know how long it has to go out for bid?
We just have, it would have to be just one-time advertisement, so based upon that, after
Well-
that, then so there's no there's no mandatory time other
Okay.
than it needs to be advertised at least one time for 1 week, so at least.
Okay, so,
7 days, so you can.
So
it's-
just
but we
for-
need to have that contract, we need to have that contract before it goes out to bid so that someone knows what they're bidding on.
That's preferably the way it
Yes.
should be done, and then y'all have to decide what it is you want in the contract.
So can we aim for, because here's the deal, there's going to be maybe 3 to 4 entities that are going to bid on this, so they're going to know what's going on. So can we aim to have a work session this month, nail down the contract, go, once we get the contract nailed down, go out to bid and have that in, be able to make that decision in March? Would that be, I think that would be advisable if we could.
Do
Okay.
you have a date in mind?
Okay. I will have Debbie tomorrow, I'll have Debbie get together get with you guys to get a work session as quick as we can.
Okay.
So, okay.
I just want to clarify. The contract ends December
No, January, it's January, or December 31st, I'm not sure.
of,
2020, no, 2024 or January 2025. I
Can
can't-
we get that first? Can
yes.
we have that by tomorrow when that ends?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I've got it in my desk if you want to go read it, so.
because if it ends in the end of January versus, you know, like, we
Yeah.
just want to make sure.
I do have that in my desk, so.
Okay.
But, so we are, okay. All right, so moving on there, quick thing, can we, I'm gonna move this because Miss Heather Taylor has requested to come in and speak to us. I want to move her up before so that she can go home, before, the hability standards, and then we'll do hability standards, then we'll go into youth council if that's all right.
Yes.
So, Miss Heather Taylor has come in to speak to us, and she's going to go to the podium. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Start sharpening that pencil, Mr. Smith.
Can I close this? I'm not going to mess up anything.
Oh, that's right. Gina and I don't get to say.
And if you read ahead, you're going to steal my thunder. So, but if you're anything like me, there's some days where I can hear well, and there's some days where reading's better. So whatever works best for you.
No,
Just
we
tell
have
me
3
when the time
minutes.
starts.
Mr. Smith, we have 3 minutes. Is that what we're, okay, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
What a beautiful day it's been. I pray we see the same clear skies 63 days from today for the total eclipse in our neighborhood. When I think of a neighborhood, I do not think of a particular city. I'm reminded of one of the most influential people in my life who happens to share the same name as the mayor of Russellville. This man was a precious soul. His name was Fred McFeely Rogers. How I enjoyed each day I spent in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood of make-believe, a neighborhood where we were all welcome, where we all felt loved and valued. I believe Mr. Rogers would greet you all today with a smile and gratitude for how you care for citizens in the city of Russellville. He may even offer a minute of reflection, asking you to remember the person that had the greatest impact on your life, then stating how very proud they must be of who you are today. I would like to try something similar if you would allow the time. Please, just for 20 seconds, I will keep the time. Close your eyes and think of a person in your life that might require supportive assistance, whether it be the use of a wheelchair, a walker, or any mobility device. Think of how life must be for that individual if they wanted to travel independently throughout this neighborhood. Let's think of them now. How grateful they must be to know you are thinking of them as we discuss accessibility in the neighborhood of Russellville on this beautiful day. For me, I am thinking of a young woman named Grace Johnson. She and her family do not live far from here. She, along with some of her siblings, utilize a wheelchair for mobility. Yesterday, Grace offered this perspective when asked how it would improve her quality of life if Russellville were truly accessible. It will definitely give me more independence knowing that my safety is not being jeopardized if I want to be physically active as opposed to getting in and out of a vehicle. Overall, a positive impact is that when there are events in towns, parades, fairs, farmers market, wheelchair users do not have to limit themselves to where they can go. I pray one day Grace will have a life without limits, a life where she may be able to sit in her wheelchair as the mayor of Russellville, or perhaps the elevated platform for which you are seated now is made level for her to feel welcome at the table. There are so many ways to be accessible, and those ways truly say, I love you, to those with mobility needs. While many people can say, I love Russellville, I pray Russellville can truly show how much they love persons with disabilities through action, through accessibility. After this meeting, I will be open to discussing a collaborative community effort called the Grace Project. I pray each of you will take this into consideration and express sincere gratitude for the time provided. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to address a couple of things real quick, Miss Heather. We are working to the best of our ability to prepare for April 8th. We will have specific accessible parking at the 500 building and by the fire station. The fire station will be open to the public that day with accessible restrooms. The depot does have accessible restrooms. I'm going to leave City Hall open that day. We're going to have specific accessible parking in our parking lot at City Hall for people downtown with accessible restrooms. We have rented accessible porta potties for that purpose. We are going to promote our aquatic center, which has 4 accessible restrooms for accessible viewing, so that we're only going to open that up for people who need accessibility. So they will be able to come in and day park and have that viewing area. We'll have about 45 to 50 people that will be able to come into that. There are 4 restrooms there. So we're working hard to be as prepared as possible. I know one of your concerns has also been an inclement weather event, which if we do have inclement weather, I don't think we will have people here on April 8th, but we are ready if something happened as far as if there is something that spins up over Fort Smith and starts running our way as far as inclement weather. I already have an agreement with the Russellville School District, even though it is not tornadic, even if it's just a thunderstorm, that all of our safe rooms will open up at my request at a moment's notice, and so we'll be able to do that. We will have a comprehensive a guide that will be available to public to know that you'll be able to go on our website. You'll be able to see where we have accessibility, inclement weather policies, so anyone will be able to see those maps. You'll be able to see where all of those schools are. Our GIS team and I met today, and we're preparing for all of the things. Now, are we going to be completely prepared? We really don't know what April 8th holds, but I will tell you this. People do not have any idea how many thousand hours have gone into this operation. And so we will do our very best to put our best foot forward and welcome people to Russellville in a way that I think you will be proud come April 9th, that you'll say, hey, my city showed up and they did the best that they possibly could, and moving forward. And, I've had these conversations. Everything that is built and everything that is remodeled Mr. John Dahl makes sure it is updated to code. Everything downtown with the dig project will be accessible. One thing that I actually did do, I just had our Public Works do today, is we put in an accessible parking spot at our fire department, between our fire department and the 500 building. We noticed that we needed better accessibility there, and so we put a spot in today. Our Public Works were working on that today. So we are doing everything we can within the power. We have the ability to take care of our buildings. We can't go out into private citizens and privately owned buildings and dictate what they do unless there's a building permit pulled, to the best of my knowledge. So, Mr. George.
I have a question. I really like this accessibility checklist. I think that's a great idea. This idea that says, can the chamber encourage businesses to complete an accessibility checklist? Because it, like you said, we cannot, through code enforcement, when someone pulls a permit, we can say it has to be to this standard. But an existing property, especially a lot of our older properties, may not have accessibility. But my biggest concern is like yours, like how do people know where to go? And I think if we could encourage the chamber to provide information on its public page regarding the eclipse, where people are going to go to find out where everything is, it wouldn't hurt to have the little weird wheelchair logo at X place, you know, to
We can
say-
do that. We could probably do that on our website. Our GIS team can do
Yeah.
that. Because we
And
have,
then for the future as
from
well, outside of
eclipserussellville.com,
vehicles.
you can go to a map and there's a drop down that has a lot of things. And I plan on making what we're making available, but I could add to that. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so,
May I ask a question?
yes, ma'am.
Has the council ever been presented with the question of financing an accessibility audit through the general fund?
The only audit we could do would be on our own buildings. The only audit that we would be able to do is, I mean,
That's not correct.
okay. Well,
So, I understand that there's time and there's a certain way, so Mr. Westcott, I know that you're very good at making sure that we abide.
yeah.
I don't want to be out of order, and I don't want to take extra time. I am very knowledgeable through the U.S. Access Board of what occurs throughout the entire United States of America and what civil rights are allotted to people within any city. I'm not coming in an attacking manner, but I do, with that knowledge, know that yes, the city can do things that it has not yet done, and it has agreed to do that in a meeting with a council member, legal, and the former mayor. This is something that has been done in other cities in Arkansas. So to hear that, no, it cannot be done, it can, you just may not be aware of that.
Okay.
And I understand when I don't have the knowledge, I make a statement, and it's inaccurate. I have done that before. I'll own that. The truth of the matter is it can be done, and it was agreed upon, and it now is not being done, not 2 years later, but it was 2022, and now we're in 2024. I don't want to be here in 2026 saying, where are we at with this?
Okay, I can speak to that because I was in the meeting, it was you, me, and Trey, and then Mayor Harris. Mayor Harris did, to my recollection, say that he was going to look into doing an accessibility audit, an ADA audit for city-owned properties, and it was not done.
Well, and it wasn't just
And
city-owned, because we talked about the legal
we did-
implication.
We did. I know that in the meeting, I know he said he was going to look into that, but I know that he said he was going to. What I
Within
remember
city
is him.
limits. It was within
is
city
him-
limits. It was
Okay.
not with city-owned specifically, because what occurs is, and again, I want to be knowledgeable of time, so my recommendation to the council is to look over the GRACE project that's being presented to you, and to allow that to be an item of discussion during an agenda where other families can be part of that discussion, because it's not just me coming to the table today. These are people that have been for 30-plus years wanting to navigate their community independently without injury, and instead of doing so, they stay home. You don't see them because they're fearful that they will have injury. We live in a utilitarian community, and I am thankful that people are able to take care of their own needs. It ought not be so when they're paying tax dollars.
All right, I would say let's explore some options and see, because my question is, if we were to explore and audit what the scope would be and what the enforcement possibilities would be, because if I can go, I can't go to someone even if I could find something, I can't enforce it. So that's the question that I would have, as far as, because I do have a responsibility to you and everyone in the city. But like I say, my question is, let me explore what something like that looks like.
I
So,
would love to provide you as much information I can take to the people throughout the United States to connect with.
okay, I think that would be, and then maybe revisit this. Would you guys be comfortable with that after we had a little bit better information?
Yeah, and I did speak, I can't speak for everyone on the council, but I've been working on this, and I know another council member has been working on this since you've come forward. We did fix the City Hall parking lot due to your input 2 years ago. there was a wheelchair audit done downtown with plans with a local engineer. We're spending $200,000 a year on sidewalks, and so we're improving sidewalks because I'm with you. I'm horrified to see people out in the street in a wheelchair. That is absolutely horrifying to me. But we're working really hard. We can't rebuild everything.
Right.
I mean, all these places that were built in the 50s and 60s and 70s with no sidewalks. There's a committee that meets regularly on decisions on sidewalk connectivity. We spent $5 million on Knoxville. That's going to make things better and continue to. The RAISE grant, once that is done in probably 6 or 7 years, that will have connectivity all through the city. And our planner and our grant person has just applied for a Safe Streets for All with a safety action plan, looking for holes in our transportation network, including ADA. And then they've just applied for a demonstration grant on the L Street corridor to try to address these sorts of things as well. So we're working. Unfortunately, government sometimes doesn't move very fast because people leave, like previous mayor, and things that may have been on the front burner go the back burner. We literally forget about them sometimes. And so I'm glad you brought this back up. But just that list, we're working. It's not where we want it to be, and certainly not where you want it to be, but I just want you to know that there's people up here that are working really hard trying to make things happen, but things move slow, and as the mayor said, we can't do, and I've read a lot of the ADA since you contacted me, we can't do anything to private property. We can hope and dream,
Right.
but it's really hard in a historic district. There's a lot of things against us there as well. Until somebody decides to remodel or redo, then we can make sure they're ADA compliant. But I just want you to know a lot of folks up here have been working on your behalf, and we will continue to do so.
You're all very good-hearted people, and it's not anything that I think that you're trying not to do. I know that your hands are tied to an extent. I do know that there is better, and it can be achieved.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, and appreciate your encouragement. We will do our best to try to figure out what that looks like, and then we'll revisit this. Thank you. All right, so we just mentioned, okay, minimum ability standards submitted by Justin Keller. 60 seconds, Mr. Keller. No, I'm just kidding.
How's everybody doing this evening? Okay, so this was something that was talked about a couple years ago, and I wanted to kind of bring it back up in light of some of the issues that, not necessarily related to this specifically, but with some of the issues that some of the rental properties in our community have had. It reminded me of talking about minimum habitability standards a couple years ago. I wanted to bring it back up. Arkansas passed Act 1052 in 2021 that provided that rental properties must have, a source of hot and cold water, available source of electricity, potable drinking water, a sewer system and plumbing, a functional roof and exterior walls, and then a functioning heating and air conditioning system if the building had heating and air conditioning system when the lease began. That's in Arkansas law. That was something that was brought up a couple years ago and was shot down by the council at that time because the idea was we're going further than state law puts in there. Even though as a city we do have that right to, there are minimum standards, and as a community we can actually hold our community to a higher standard in that. Arkansas state law says that if you have a working heating or air conditioner the day that you execute the lease, if it breaks, it's the requirement of the landlord to fix it. Our current standards don't encompass that. And while it does have state law backing it up, it doesn't allow for the city to go in and write something with code enforcement because it's not against city code. They can take them to civil court under Arkansas state law, but the city can't write something. And so that's something that I would like to see added to the city's code so that we can be in line with state law. And then also in 1052 of 2021, there was a section in there that said that tenants are able to install carbon monoxide or additional smoke detectors in their rental property, and they have to do so by not causing damage. If they cause damage, then they've got to fix the damage. They'll be held liable for it or whatnot. But under that section and in the whole thing is it doesn't require renters, if a source of carbon monoxide exists, it doesn't require landlords to provide a carbon monoxide detector in the same way that it requires them to provide a smoke detector. I think that just from a safety standpoint, I know we have gas at my house. I have a carbon monoxide detector because I enjoy mine, my family's living. You know, if someone is renting a domicile that has a source of carbon monoxide, then I think that it should be in our community a requirement of someone that is renting that domicile to provide a carbon monoxide detector. It does specifically state in Act 1052 that these are minimum standards set by the state, and that local communities are able to set stricter standards. So in that law that was passed in 2021 and went into effect November of that year, in Section 1, subsection 3BH, it says that we have the ability as a city to raise those standards for our community. When we originally talked about this a few years ago, we had 3 or 4 working sessions with landlords where we came in and we started out with a list, and the 2 things that we ended on was air conditioning and heating, and the carbon monoxide detector, after we came to an agreement that we would have written in there that if they were operational on day 1 and the tenant was to do something to remove the battery from the carbon monoxide detector or whatnot, it's still considered as to have met that the spirit and intent of this law. So I think that it would be a good idea for us as a city to, at the bare minimum, include that portion of state law that requires working heating and air units if they worked on day 1, and then also requiring folks who rent a property, if there is a source of carbon monoxide, they must provide a working carbon monoxide detector.
So do you want to do a work session there, or do you want to just bring that to the council?
I'm just bringing it here for us to talk, and
Can you, we did not get a chance to review that ordinance that you provided. I mean, I've seen it, so I'm not
Yeah.
like, but
so I actually have and I'll pass this out to the group. This is,
I do want to give you guys a real quick update, because I think Vista Place probably brought this to the front of your attention, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. We've been able to elevate this to the Attorney General of the state of Arkansas, and so I was on the phone with Tim Griffin today, and he assured me that they're working on that, and they're trying to find a resolution on that. So I did want to give you guys that update, so while we're talking
great,
about this.
and state law
As
and
far as
city
what?
ordinance.
The situation is there, you've got a management company 4 states away, and then you've got a corporation between that, and then you have an owner that's behind that corporation. So we do think we finally found out who the owner is, and so they're trying to to get to them, and there are some things that they are working on that they've had success in other places, so.
Something like this
We've already written them citations for
Yeah,
failure.
so that's the thing is, this was in both state law and city
Yes, sir.
ordinance.
So. No, no, I don't think
No.
so. I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, the problem is we've been, we've really been having a hard time finding, so we feel like even when you find them, if they don't answer their phone, it's an issue. And so the Attorney General has a little bit longer and stronger arms than us. But I am thankful that, it's elevated to them. I was on the phone with some of their team yesterday, and Tim Griffin himself called me today, so they are working on it. So I wanted to update you guys.
Great. So this is what I passed out was one. This is the Arkansas Landlord Tenant Handbook that's provided by the Arkansas Realtors Association to landlords and tenants to use as a resource guide. And it's like 46 pages long, but I only provided page 2, which specifically talks about the state law and providing the functional heating and air conditioning system if the building had heating and air conditioning system when the lease began. And then the other page is sections 1 and 2, which were the changes from that were proposed in the ordinance a couple years ago. And I just wanted to bring this up, see what the thought of the rest of the council was on this topic, and if it's something that we as a body would like to move forward with.
So it's already state law, and what I would like to know is what the ordinance you proposed in addition to state law.
What it does, by putting it in the city code, it allowed, code enforcement to be able to go out and write a citation, and then there's
And then it
there's
added
fines
the
and penalties
monoxide,
that
carbon
are on
monoxide,
there.
and-
Yeah.
okay.
And so what this does is the portion that's already state law is the air conditioning portion, because we already have heat.
Yeah.
And we already have heat beforehand.
Yeah.
This just adds the air conditioning to it, which is something that state law does, which I'm really happy they do for Arkansas. The carbon monoxide section was proposed when the idea of, as a community, we're able to set even stricter standards than
Yeah.
state law.
Mr. Keller, I think I understand the intent of this. Would you consider an ordinance or a motion or however it needs to be that for rented property in Russellville, which is what we're addressing, that we as a city would conform to the state code as our base minimum? In regard to this right here, is there anything about this list of requirements that is wrong or harmful to the people? If not, with these being the basics, would it not be prudent for us as a city, as a starting place, use the state's code, which should apply to everybody in the state, as our minimum? And we can tweak it as we need to. Could we not?
I agree. I definitely agree. I think that adding the air conditioning portion to our city ordinances would be, once again, in line with state law, and so we're just
Well, and
adding
not
that.
specific to that. I'm saying that a very simple document that our requirements for rental property would fall under the minimum requirements of the state of Arkansas.
Okay, where I would quibble with that is that it states in the act that communities can have even higher standards than the minimum of the state. I
Sure,
would say Russellville,
certainly.
being the community that we are, I think we can say we hold ourselves to a higher standard than that. The
Legally, we
one-
have no document that enforces that, or that says that we are going to conform to the minimum requirements of the state. We don't have that. So if we have that, then as other laws in the years to come also get passed for our enjoyment, it'll automatically default to it affects us too, right?
Well, I don't know if we're able to do that. That would be something Trey would have to answer, because I think that, I mean, I asked a very similar question when we were talking about adopting like fire code or whatever it was.
Yeah,
that was
didn't we just
passed.
spend 90
And it
days,
was-
like,
And it was said that,
affirming, moving everything
Yeah,
to what state
codifying that, yeah.
code,
So,
right? And does that, when you said right now we don't have an enforcement code for heating and air that was provided previously, but the state requires that, wouldn't our code now require that because we just brought everything up to the state code?
I mean, then Trey can answer that. I mean, is that what we just passed, does that include the minimum habitability standards passed by the state in 1052?
Everything that, we have a property maintenance code there is no state property maintenance code. However, we've adopted one for many, many years, and it complies with the current habitability of the state law. I think everything you're wanting to do is in addition to or above the state law. But we have a property maintenance code that handles heating and air and other things. You go look it up.
So our current property maintenance code states that if air conditioning is there on day one and it goes out, that the landlord has to go and fix it?
I'd have to look. I know that the heating part, I do specifically remember, is there. The air conditioning, I don't believe that's mandated by state law, though. But again, I don't have the code in front of me. I do know we have one, and we've had one for a number of years, and there is no state property maintenance code.
you want to revisit this next month when we have the codes in front of us?
Well,
Or have a work session?
I mean, I'm fine with having a work session or whatever, but it's
Yeah.
something that
Yeah.
in what I'm reading is in 1052, it did add the air conditioning. So if that's something that's there, then great. If it's not, then it's something I think that we need to add to the city of Russellville. I think that regardless, I think having a carbon monoxide detector, if there's a source of carbon monoxide, is something just from a safety standpoint that keeps our citizens who rent within our city limits safe. I would like to have a working session where we can discuss if there's anything else that we think that our community may need, but I think that those two things are a must.
Okay, so let me ask you this, is this something that we could revisit when we talk about the waste management contract? I don't want to get in the habit of just having too many work sessions, but if we could add that into that and have that, have a conversation about that and have the answers to whether that code is in effect here in Russellville?
I mean, I think that basically comes down to the will of the council.
Yes, sir.
If they want one longer meeting or two shorter meetings.
What would the will of the council be?
One longer.
One longer, okay, okay.
Solid waste is going to be incredibly long.
Okay, all right, so.
We'll be limited on the information we have at our solid waste meeting, not having a return on the quotes yet, or the bids.
Well, I think the biggest thing is we need to put some teeth in that contract is my number one thing on that meeting, so. All right, so if that's all right with you, Mr. Keller,
Perfectly fine with that.
we'll put that in that work session
Perfectly
if that
fine
works
with
with
that.
you, okay. All right, so at this point in time, we're gonna move on into the portion that is going to be a section that's gonna be talking about the youth council and selecting some individuals for the youth council. So anyone who chooses to be excused at this point in time, you can be excused. We're going to continue recording because this is for FOIA reasons. We are council, we're here together and we do need to be recorded. No, we need to stay in a meeting, don't we? Because yeah. You did did you do a press release for the youth council meeting? Okay, so we can adjourn, okay, so you did do a press release. So I'm gonna adjourn, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. We'll adjourn this meeting, and then we'll go back into a meeting for the
I would
youth council.
suggest like a 5-minute.
5 minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Restroom break.
You have 300 seconds.
And if you want to leave, that's fine. If you want to
Yeah,
stay.
yeah, if you do want to leave, feel free to leave, but if you want to stay, that's great.
Hey, Paul, did everybody get the packet?
Hey, James, you can feel free to bug out because she's going to record this as far as like